So I want to go over some of the problems from the activity that we did today, just so you can see the work to go along with how to do them. So number one here, we've got Patricia, and she has a rectangular flower garden that is 10 feet long and 2 feet wide. I'm going to mark up this picture just so we can kind of see that. It's 10 feet long and it's 2 feet wide. One bag of soil can cover 10 feet squared. That's going to become helpful. How many bags will she need to cover the entire garden? What we need to figure out is the area of the garden and then how many bags of soil she needs to cover it. So let's start with the area. We have 2 feet by 10 feet, which means that our area is 20 square feet. Now, if one bag of soil can cover 10 feet, I'm going to need 2 bags in order to cover 20 feet. Well, it's not terribly difficult. You just got to kind of pay attention to the information that you're given. Let's move on to number 2. So here we have Emma, who's planting a flower seed in her garden, and the garden is shown by this shape down here. And each package of seed covers an area of approximately 6 square feet. That again is going to become important because we want to know what's the number of packages she needs to buy. First, we need to know the area of this trapezoid. So remember, we multiply 1/2 times the 2 bases added. So 10 plus 6. I'm going to add the 2 bases, divide by 2, and then I'm going to multiply that by the height, which is 8. So 10 plus 6 is 16. Half of 16 is 8. Times 8 gives me an area of 64 square feet. Now, if a package of seed covers 6, I want to divide this by 6, which gives me 10.67. I cannot buy 0.67 packages of seeds, so I'm going to need to round that up to 11 packages of seeds. So she's going to need to buy 11 in order to cover this whole area. Think about your answer that makes sense, okay? Yeah, 10.67 packages, but I can't go to the store and say, hey, can you give me 0.67 packages of seeds? Doesn't make sense. I need to round to 11. Number 3 here is a question about a house. Jane is planning to build a cabin that measures 30 by 24. What's the area of the cabin roof? So the roof is this rectangle right here, which we know one side of is 30. We don't know this side here. And then it's going to be repeated on the other side. So whatever I get for the area of my rectangle, I'm going to double or multiply by 2 to get the total area of the roof because I have 2 rectangular sized roof pieces, okay? Now, this triangle, which I'm going to do in a different color, you can see is a right triangle. And if I use Pythagorean theorem, because I have the 2 sides, I can figure out what x is going to be. So I'm going to say 12 squared plus 5 squared is equal to x squared. 12 squared is 144, 5 squared is 25. Add those together and I get 169. And then I need to square root that and I get x equals 13, okay? Which means that I can erase this x and I can make it a 13 instead. Now I know the area of this rectangle is 30 by 13, which when I multiply is 390, which I then need to double in order to get the area of the full roof, which is 780. So my final answer is 780 square feet. Remember that a lot of times with these shapes, you're using Pythagorean theorem in order to find missing pieces. Number 4 here talks about the lengths of the sides of a rectangle are increased by 18%. By what percent is the perimeter of the rectangle increased? Oh, that should be area. Sorry, that's a typo. Let's fix that. Round the final answer to the nearest 10. So let's start by figuring out what is the area now. The current area is 140. 14 times 10 is 140. Now each side is increased by 18%, which means that 14 times 1.18, because now it's 118% of what it was, is 1652. And 10 times 1.18 gives me a new length of 11.8, which means that the area of this new rectangle, 11.8 times 16.52, put new, is 194.936. Now, how do I find the percent increase? There's a couple ways we can do this. We could subtract and then divide by the original. Or we can take the new divided by the original. I'm going to make this original. And then subtract 1. Either way, we get 39.2%. So if you take 194 minus 140, 194.936 minus 140, you get 54.936, which you divide by 140, and you get 0.3924, I think. Or if you take 194.936 divided by 140, you get 1.3924, which means that either way, your percent, when we move the decimal point 2 places, is 39.24 or 39.2%. Okay? So there's a couple methods we can use to find that percentage, but first we have to find the area of both the original and the changed rectangle. Number 5 is talking about a dump truck and what's happening to the soil. So a crew is excavating a construction site to build a new house. They fill the box with the dump truck to the top of dirt. The box is 16 by 3 by 8. So 16, 8, and then this length here, I'm going to draw this out, is 3. In the transport, the volume of the soil decreases 20% as it settles in the box, which means that each of these dimensions is decreasing by 20%. So let's think about this. If we're starting with 100% and we're decreasing by 20%, what percent do we have left? We have 80%. If I multiply 80% by each of these dimensions, I get the settled dimensions. So if I multiply 80%, which is 0.8, times the height, because that's what I want to know, what is the height, I'm going to get 6.4. That means that the height is now of the dirt is now settled to 6.4 meters. Okay, you could also multiply 8 by 0.2 and then subtract that. So 8 times 0.2 is 1.6. 8 minus 1.6 also gets you to 6.4. So however your mind kind of works with those percentages, do whatever works best, okay? Number 6, what percent of the total area of rectangle DEFG is found inside of trapezoid ABCH? So we're really talking about is this here. This trapezoid, which is a smaller portion of the larger trapezoid, what is the area of this as a percentage of the whole? Okay, so let's start with the area. And the nice thing about this being on blocks is we can count it. Let's start with the area of the rectangle. The rectangle, which I'm going to draw out here, is 3 by 6, which means that if I count that up, I'm going to get 18 blocks. Okay, looking back at this trapezoid, I have 1, 2, 3 blocks plus 2 halves, which gives me a total area of 4. So this trapezoid is a total area of 4. Now the question is, what is the percent of the trapezoid of the rectangle? Well, to find that, we take 4 divided by 18. And when we do that, we get 0.222 repeating, multiplied by 100, which gives us 22.2%. Okay? So we're just finding the area of each, dividing them, and getting our percentage. Number 7, the area of the rectangle is 2,652. Find the value of x. So I know the area of a rectangle is simply base times height. So I'm going to multiply 3x plus 5 times 12, and that's equal to the area, which in this case is 2,652. Now I have an equation that I can very easily solve for x, okay? First step, since I'm multiplying 12 by this other stuff, I'm going to divide both sides by 12. That will cancel. Now, I could distribute the 12, which is totally fine, but I kind of like to divide first because it gives me a little bit smaller numbers to work with. So I'd take 2652 divided by 12 and I get 221. Now I'm going to subtract 5. Well, that looks like a times. Whoops. 221 minus 5 is 216. And the 5's cancel here. And then my last step is to divide by 3. And 216 divided by 3 is 72. So x equals 72. Let's go back up and just check. That's all we're asked to find. Find the value of x. We found that it is 72, so we are good. Last problem. What is the area of the parallelogram if the perimeter is 30? So remember, area is base times height. This would be the base. This would be the height. Okay? We don't know what the base is equal to, so we cannot find the area. What we do know is that this is a parallelogram, so opposite sides are congruent, and we know that all of the sides added together are equal to the perimeter, which in this case is 30. So I can solve this to figure out what x is. I'm going to start by combining like terms. So I'm going to combine 7 and 2, 7 and 2, which is 18. And I'm going to combine 5x and 5x, which is 10x. And that's going to be equal to 30. Next, I want to subtract 18 from both sides, which is 12. And then I'm going to, divide by 10. That looks like IQ, doesn't it? Sorry. And then I'm going to take 12 divided by 10, which is 1.2. Now, that's x. I still have to go back and find, remember, the area. The question is, what is the area? To know area, I need to know the base. So if the base is 5 times x plus 2, 5 times 1.2 plus 2 is equal to 8. Now I can use my area formula because I know that the base is 8, the height is 4, therefore the area is 32. Okay? I hope this has helped make sense. Again, this might be something that's helpful to put in your notes because some of these questions are also going to be on your test and on the reviews. So if you write some of these down as you're going through this video, that should be very helpful for you. And then if you have any questions, let us know.